Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Across 6 rounds, we've seen some incredible racing in the Ozicar Tin Top Cup. All good things must come to an end. All symphonies must come to a crescendo, and that's going to happen here. Round 6 from the Nurburgring Nordschleife. Such a famous, challenging, and gargantuanly massive racing track. And it plays host to a gargantuanly massive race as we decide the title and the champion for this season of Ozicar Tin Top Cup, live here on Simspeed TV. David Haynes with Jason Fewens and Daniel Yeaman to bring you the coverage of a championship finale, Jason.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, David. Yeah, we've been waiting a long time for this round to roll around. Like you said, it is the crunch time for the season. This is the point where you have to make or break your championship for those that are in contention. And I think we do have quite a few number of drivers that are really up the pointy end of the field and can take this one out, depending on a bit of luck. Potentially weather. We'll have to wait and see what unfolds.
We'll have to wait and see indeed. Before we can go racing, we can go qualifying, and that's just beginning to wrap up. Now, it's all about the championship tonight, and there's just one race to settle it, of course, on the Nordschleife, 50 minutes or 6 laps, 1 pit stop for fuel, and of course, just one race means only one grid, so no progressive grids, reverse grids, anything like that. It's just based off the qualifying session. The drivers are setting their final laps in right now. So talking about that championship, Jason, here's how it stands. Ben Faulkner from Jamie Stovall from Tim Harris. One race to win it all. None of those drivers can afford to crash out of today's one enduro.
No, that's right. There's everyone really from Timmy Harris right through to Ben Faulkner could take this one out. Ben's probably the one who has made the least mistakes over the course of the last 6 rounds. So if you're a betting man, you'd probably put your money on that, but this is one of those circuits that can really work in your favour, or you can have the worst luck in the world. So don't write Jamie off, because he has had some championship results throughout the course of the season that's earning second spot on the championship standing, so he's right in amongst it as well.
Ben Faulkner's been on a little bit of a winning streak. He's either won the last 4 or 5 or maybe even more races. So he's really come into form well when we went to Silverstone. And of course, last round as well, you see Chastano, Freer, Brodie Shepherd, Dylan DeBono, Ewan Baker, Josh Horton and Matt Pluck completing the top 10 of the championship standings as we come into the final round. Checkered flag is definitely waving at the start-finish line of this configuration of the Nordschleife. The industry Farten layout doesn't use any of the Grand Prix circuit. It's all that good old but fearsome Nordschleife.
Yeah, 22.8 kilometres around here. I don't know the corners. There is more corners than I have fingers and toes to count on, so you'll have to take my word for it.
You need a lot of fingers and toes. iRacing says there is 154 turns on this layout.
Yeah, I thought there was 160, so I wasn't too far out, but 154, there's plenty of opportunity for passing. Slipstream draft is going to be important here on certain parts of the track, so it's really playing your cards, picking your moments, and making the most of those opportunities when they present themselves.
One of those drivers we saw inside of the championship top 10, James Chastano, is exploring all of the curbs and all the different ways around, say, the carousel. It's not where you want to be in racing conditions. All the grit is in that beautiful groove through the carousel there, but I think his qualifying is done and he's just waiting it out to set the grid for the final race.
So we do have sunny skies over the track at the moment, but we'll have to wait to see what the radar brings. There is a opportunity where it could be dry on parts of the track and wet on other parts, so it could throw us a curveball. We'll have to wait and see how things unveil, but Dave, we'll let you go through the grid and we'll see how they line up.
Well, it must be happy hunting grounds for Pulse Tuning Echuca Toyota with John Merritt and Luke Turner on the front row of the grid together, separated by just 2/10 around a near 8-minute lap. Behind them, you'll find Joshua Horton and the championship leader should be Ben Faulkner in fourth, right? Front row of the grid looks great. Let's take another look at the second row of the grid. Joshua Horton definitely in third. But Ben Faulkner, I do believe, has qualified in fourth. There he is. That is correct for row number 2. And then on row number 3, he maybe accidentally credited Douglas Gowans one more spot than he had earned, but he's still there in fifth on the grid alongside Aaron Obersteller for that third row. What's going to be a rolling start here. Jamie Stovald and Will Chen are 7th and 8th on the grid. And the top 10 is Sam Chapman and Brody Shepherd. You're seeing plenty of Vermilion cars on the grid. And then there's Nathan Verney and Tony Baker in 11th and 12th. Warren Henry and Ira Felberg make it. And Ozicar Racing Team 13th and 14th a row back there. John Snell and Peter Wilkinson 15th and 16th. Last driver with a qualifying time. It's an easy circuit to invalidate your qualifying lap or to not set one. That's Jordan Dakin in 17th, while James Chastanoff, Benjamin Wheeler and Tom Brown could not or did not or ran out of time to set a qualifying lap. It's a big outlap you've got to do here. Even in an hour you only get a couple of opportunities. So that's how we're going to kick things off. Jason, I think, with 50 minutes and the points lead that he's got, Ben Faulkner's not going to be disappointed starting from fourth.
No, that's right. Pretty good opportunity. He's not buried deep in the field. We do have 20 drivers that are gridding up tonight, so it certainly could be a lot worse buried at the back of the field. But he put himself in a really good position. Doesn't have to do anything silly tonight, and all he's got to do is keep his nose clean and bring home a consistent result. And I'm sure he'll be well aware of what he has to do to maximise his opportunities.
Well, these cars, everywhere we go, they've been quite slipstream intense. That's how the Toyota GR86 races, and you see them lining up for this formation lap there on the Dottingahua. What a long, high-speed straight that is. It pretty much sees out the end of the lap here and then into a braking zone at the end. It'll be 8 minutes after the green flag before we come back around to this part of the racetrack to see it play out. But no doubt drivers will be thinking about that as they go around this racing circuit. Can I position myself to try to make a move late in the lap on that long straight? Bit entry on this configuration just to the right-hand side here at the end of the lap. That's what they may need at some point in this race. John Merritt set them going. The pace car had already pulled in. The green flag waves. 50 minutes on the clock, or 6 laps for the finale of Ozicar Tin Top Cup. It's live on Simspeed TV as they make their way through turn 1, Sabina Schmidt's curve, and not a bad start at all from John Merritt or from Luke Turner, but already Ben Faulkner, championship leader, up one spot and challenging for more.
Yeah, our pole sitter taking the instinctive line, leading him through the single file to start the race. Luke Turner taking the position in behind his wingman or gunner, I guess you could call him. And so he's sitting there in second, but no doubt Ben Faulkner, our championship leader, has made the move up into third. So he's right on the tail and filling Luke Turner's mirrors with that blue doing okay livery that he's got.
His teammate Aaron Obersteller is in the Armco, of which there must be about 50 kilometres around this place, either side of the track. And the Toyota GR86 built pretty tough, but that's towards the end of the Hudson Butte section. He's gone into the Armco. It's high speed up towards the flood flats here. He's losing some positions, but having already worked their way through there, the leaders, John Merritt, Luke Turner and Ben Faulkner, high speed downhill, heading towards the crest at Schwedenkreuz, and then the long right-hander at Arenberg, you haven't seen too much change inside of your top 10. Sam Chapman's taken the opportunity to pick up a couple of spots as we go as well. Turn in middle of the road there in the braking zone for Arenberg. I think he is going to play that tail gunner role.
Yeah, top 4 cars making a little bit of a break, but it's all John Merritt at the moment as he makes his way through the fast downhill section for the first time here on lap number 1. Green flag conditions still in play, so we haven't had any accidents in the background that we've noticed at this stage. So it's eyes forward for our 064 pulse tuning at Toyota Toyota 86 as he makes his way back through the tight, twisty section. It was probably one of the more complex sections of the circuit, but he manages to do it without too much drama.
Lots of YouTube videos of people enjoying the high-speed section of the track before that, coming over the crest and realising they should have slowed earlier than they did. It is a challenge at the top there of the hill Adnauer Forst. And then we start to get into some of the even more technical parts of the racetrack, some of the single file parts around here. Single file would be German for one arrow, but miss hit miss is coming up as well, another super technical part of the racetrack. Everywhere you go around here, you've got these super high curbs that can punish you if you hit them wrong. You've got lots of elevation and camber changes, and no bit of the pavement is the same as the rest. There is a near 100 years of history baked into all of this pavement.
Yes, renowned right around the world, and it's one of the you either love this track or you hate it on most of the platforms. But it is a real beast to master, so if you can get your head around it, it is very, very rewarding to put in a secure lap. You can see the top 6 or 7 cars there, all single file as they make their way through this section of the circuit. Bit of a break dip there from our race leader as he makes his way around through the sequence of left-hand right sweepers. But no dramas except for Jordan Dakin, who started at the back of the field as it had a bit of an incident and decided to return to the pits on lap number 1.
Yeah, he was the last car with the qualifying time, but instead at Verseifen, I haven't looked at the map, I'm guessing, that corner there, it drops downhill, he's gone in too late, too hot on the brakes, lost the rear and had a big moment and done a lot of damage. The front right tyre, I think, was gone. He turned his GR86 into a tricycle, even blown out one of the brake lights there apparently from that angle. Big damage in the slowest corner of the racetrack. Yes, slower than the carousel.
So back up front, John Merritt with a 1.8 second lead over teammate Luke Turner, who's under plenty of pressure from championship leader Ben Faulkner, currently sitting in P3. And another 0.4 behind Josh Horton after a great qualifying performance does sit in P4. A little bit of daylight back to Douglas Gowans before Jamie Stovall, Sam Chapman and Will Chen complete the little bit of a train that is forming just inside the top 10, I should say.
So after some of the faster earlier parts of the lap, now it gets really twisty through this part of the Nordschleife, approaching the carousel, and then all the way through Wittemann and towards the Flansgarten. You have your top 4 drivers at the moment, bit of space. There's Douglas Gowans with Jamie Stovall and Sam Chapman just behind. Will Chen hanging on to them for the moment. We dive into the carousel using super steep banking, and then trying to pick exactly what moment to open the throttle, speed up, leap out of the banking and head uphill towards the highest point of the racetrack. From the lowest point to the highest point around the Nordschleife, there is more elevation difference than top to the bottom of the mountain at Mount Panorama. But Mount Panorama still has more total elevation difference than Circuit Spa-Francorchamps, so we can hang our heads perhaps proudly on that one.
It looks like Luke Turner has made his way up to the back of John Merritt leading the race, and with him he's brought Ben Faulkner and Josh Horton. So there was a little bit of a gap there, only a couple of moments to go, but already Luke turning on the afterburners, putting on a little bit of pressure on his teammates. So he might be feeling the pressure from behind himself and decided to just push on a little bit harder through this second half of the opening lap. We are here for 50 minutes tonight, which should be about 6 laps around this circuit. So there is plenty of opportunity for more passing to come. So you don't want to push too hard and make a mistake like we saw Jordan do a little bit earlier on, and end your race prematurely.
Or even Aaron Obersteller, who didn't get a second look at that one, but perhaps cold tyres, a bit too much curb through the Hutzenbach section, one of the places where you do want to get across the top of some of these curbs. Most of the places, most of the time around the Nordschleife, you don't. You like hitting the gutter. Warren Henry's also had an issue potentially here at carousel, and he gets a bit too much of it, and that pony will have him no more.
Yeah, very easy to get unsettled through that bank corner, one of the most iconic corners on the circuit, having a few bit of dramas there with the back end getting it loose, but manages to keep it off the Armco, keeps the car on the black stuff in the right direction. So losing a little bit of track time, but more importantly isn't suffering any damage this early stage of the race.
Aaron Obersteller on the opening lap behind Douglas Gowans, so this would be for 5th and 6th position at the moment, and okay, he had a weird old little snap there on the cold tyres right up behind Douglas Gowans, looking on board. Okay, so a bit of curb there, bit of curb at the apex, just gets the curb on the exit and it slides out on him, something like that. It looks even weirder from the onboard for me, for Aaron Obersteller, but he'll be cursing himself for pushing that hard before such a long race. Then, oh dear, we're back live with it, and there's some dramas, but also on the Dottinghua, like we talked about, the highest speed part of the racetrack. Luke Turner's gotten past John Merritt for the lead, but the 2 Vermilion teammates have an absolute freight train head of steam going on. Ben Faulkner looking to get past both of the pulse-tuning Echuca Toyota drivers, but he pulls out of the slipstream and he stalls out with the teammates in front, bump drafting each other. Looks like Luke Turner will finish the first lap in the lead from his teammate John Merritt. So there is team games afoot early in this one.
Yeah, plenty of clean racing happening, and like I said, team games, mind games happening, so very smart there from John Merritt. He manages to keep his cool head and do what he needed to do to keep himself and his teammate both in front of the charging Vermilion Motorsport drivers in Ben Faulkner and Josh Horton. So they're putting on plenty of pressure there into the last part of the circuit, but unable to make the move stick. So they do start lap number 2 of potentially 6 here tonight. So have had a change of the lead, like you said. It is now Luke Turner, John Merritt, Ben Faulkner, Josh Horton do make up your top 4, separated by 1.2 seconds.
So towards the part of the lap that caught out Aaron Obersteller, it was the exit curb here. Everyone's got warmer tyres, they're going further up over the curb to the flat bit rather than just hitting the ramp, but no, more dramas on the curbs in the Hudson back for the race leader. Luke Turner goes around, John Merritt through to the race lead, Ben Faulkner and Joshua Horton become a leading trio, and Luke Turner is losing so many positions here at the start of the second lap.
Yeah, very lucky he had that gap to the cars behind, because he did manage to reverse back across the track without getting in the way of the oncoming freight train. We'll have a look at the Simspeed replay brought to you by Prestige Trophy and Badges. This is our race leader, just too much curb on the inside, and he was a passenger for the back part of that little incident. So it can all happen very quick here. Tables are turned, and all of a sudden our race leader finds himself without a wingman.
1 millimetre from the Armco though, if you notice, just pulled it up before doing any damage, so that is critical, but it goes to show that the curbs are not your friend. He got too much bounce across them, couldn't control the car pogoing and kangarooing through there, and then it's just 3 up front, and it means Jamie Stovall goes up into 4th place, and Sam Chapman now 4 positions gained throughout this race, as it shows on the graphic next to his name. Chapman's been just picking them off slowly. He's kept his nose clean when other drivers in front of him have gone off, like Aaron Obersteller, like Luke Turner, and has also passed Douglas Gowans recently as well, I think. So Chapman is having a good race so far.
Yeah, obviously put in the lap, feeling pretty comfortable out there at the moment. He's looking very confident in the machinery underneath him, so he's doing a really good job sitting there in P5. So all he's got to do is keep a cool, level head, and if the guys in front play little games with each other, this trio of Stovall, Chapman and Gowans could find themselves a little bit closer than they are at the moment towards the middle part of the circuit.
You see that massive mobile phone tower at that part of the racetrack, and you know you must get some good reception around there. But it's the traction that you're after. Miss hit, miss here, and now into the part of the circuit where you can get in too hot, and we saw others come undone, like Jordan Dakin. Everyone's worked through there tidily this time. The top 3 are covered by less than a second, and it is starting to form up in this next group here. Stovall, Chapman, Douglas Gowans is being caught by Will Chen, who's moving up as well.
It
Field
was
prep's normally pretty big around this lap, but the GR86 combats that, where everywhere like this kind of straight here, it'll just close you in on the driver in front with the slipstream.
Yeah, circuit's very well suited to these cars too. Tight, twisty. They're light, nimble little cars, and they do benefit from the draft down through the twisty, through the quicker parts of the circuit. But you can ride these curbs if you do so with a little bit of care, and if you get a little bit aggressive with them, as we saw earlier in this lap with with our race leader that was Luke Turner. You can find yourself on the wrong side of the outcome. So we jump on board Douglas Gowans and have a look back at Will Chen. Will's had a really good season, missed a couple of rounds, but when he has been here, definitely been on pace throughout the course of the season. So good little peddler, steerer behind the wheel. So fingers crossed he can finish the season on a really good result.
This part of the racing circuit goes uphill at full throttle for a long time towards a committed bravery corner. So you see how much Will Chen's able to close in. Pretty happy with his line through there as well, so suddenly he'll be right on Douglas Gowans. There was no change in the leading three as they went uphill, and now passing gets tougher once you get to about this braking zone here.
We jump on board Will in currently sitting in P number 7, so you can see him working pretty hard to stay on the back of Douglas Gowans as they go through the carousel. Does unsettle the car as they tip it in and use the bank turn to carry as much speed through. Looks like we've had a little bit of an incident in front. That's potentially Sam Chapman dropping a position.
So he's had a problem with the carousel. You see there's kind of two lines to go through there. You have all 4 tyres on the bank, or you have your outside tyres on the banking and your inside tyres on the flat part. And it looks like if you're just a little bit higher up, the car's a bit oversteering, a bit loose through that way. But it might be quick. So I think the way that they're approaching their placement within the banked groove can cause problems. We will take a look a little bit further back to the carousel for Sam Chapman. Here it is. He's going to enter the carousel. And is he high up the banking or low down the banking? He's low down the banking when he gets the snap.
So we've seen a couple of drivers suffer from that snap, which is a little bit uncharacteristic, and obviously catching him out, just kissing the wall as he skimmed by it on the right-hand side of his car. So he lost a couple of positions, but it doesn't look like he's done a lot of damage. He's back up to speed now and trying his best to regain that position that Douglas Gowans took away from him.
Yeah, normally the cars are built pretty tough. We've seen just 1 or 2 incidents that have caused enough damage, but Jordan Dakin's actually gotten back out there, and because this is the Nordschleife, he's still on the lead lap, even if he's about 2 minutes down. Nathan Verney and Tony Baker for the top 10. Verney 3 seconds quicker last lap, so he's making just a tiny bit of progress. And yes, 2 minutes 10 seconds behind the race leader. Oh, Jordan Dakin, we've cut to him at a very interesting time there, as he has slidey moment approaching the carousel. Your leader's going through Guldenkopf right now, though, about to get onto the Dottingerhoer, and that was so interesting last lap, Jason. What they do and what John Merritt will do now, it's just him.
Yeah, John had the opportunity to push his teammate through the last part of this section of the circuit last time round. Hasn't got that luxury this time, so you can see the Vermilion Motorsport powered Toyota just sneaking up to the back of the Pulse Tuning Echuca paint livery at the moment, waiting for the right opportunity to duck out. Only a lap 2 of 6 here tonight, so he might be in that position where he is quite happy to wait and sit back and play second fiddle at this early part of the race.
To take the championship away from him, the other drivers need to outscore Ben Faulkner, and they need to outscore him big time. That's not going to happen if he stands on the podium. Your podium trio are now 6 seconds clear of Jamie Stovald in 4th. Ben Faulkner will have known it from maybe even 1 round ago in the championship that he just doesn't need to take any risks. He just needs to finish on the podium here. So why bother just yet in this race, where what you're doing is working, it's playing to your strengths and just padding out the top 3's lead over the rest of the field.
Championship leader just securing the fastest lap of the race that last time by, so making a little bit of ground on the leader, albeit by a few tenths, but doing what he needs to do. John Merritt, our race leader at the moment, did miss a couple of rounds throughout the course of the season, but he has shown really good pace, so he does deserve to be up the front. He is a contender. All he's got to do is find an opportunity to complete all 6 rounds, and he could have been walking away with an Aussie car championship here, but circumstances has it he wasn't able to do that, but he is shining his bright star at the moment, leading here on lap 3.
Gee, the ride control of these cars right at the limit is looking challenging with the curbs and the bumps and the crests and the camber and all of that. They're really getting the cars a little out of shape in some places. John Merritt over the floodflats. He's getting off the racing line. He wants Ben Faulkner to take the lead. Ben Faulkner will not. John Merritt still leads, and your top 3 are almost a centipede.
Yeah, clear daylight behind the top 3 at the moment. As you can see, they're not even, the chasing cars are not even in view. Hard on the brakes down for this right-hand corner before the downhill section, and in unison, they all hit the brake lights just about in sequence. John Merritt manages to take that corner as textbook as you could potentially get, but he's shadowed every inch of the way by Ben Faulkner and Josh Horton.
Speaking of clear daylight between them and the rest of the field, that's the weather that we're going to have. No rain predicted, no rain on the radar for the rest of this race. What it is currently 19 in the air, 32 on the track, with just a little bit of cloud coming and going, but not carrying any rain now or in the foreseeable future of this race window.
Yeah, really perfect conditions for these cars out there at the moment. We did have all sorts of torrential weather at Bathurst only 2 weeks ago. That did really throw the cat amongst the pigeons, and it did allow a couple of the drivers to shine and make up a great points haul, but none of that on the cards here today. It looks like the weather over the Nordschleife circuit in Germany is playing in our favours to
no fog either.
No fog, no. To produce some really, really good clean racing as we're seeing here on track at the moment.
There is a look at the radar. Trust us, that's an animated image of the radar. There's just no rain out there to describe it all in any way, which is reassuring, I suppose, for Ben Faulkner. Oh, whoa, he's had a bit of a moment just there. Keep it all together. Again, that's right in behind John Merritt, getting a little bit of the curb. And the track just drops away right as you start to turn into that corner. Makes it so easy to lock up a front brake as well in lots of types of cars through there.
Yeah, he doesn't need to do anything silly. They're going into a draft part of the circuit, so he's currently sitting 0.8 behind John Merritt, so a little bit of breathing room at the moment for Merritt, but we'll just keep an eye on that gap as they make their way into the carousel section only a few kilometres down the road. We'll see whether that 0.8 of a second can be reduced due to the benefit of the draft.
Live radar, aka track map. Again, just showing us dry in all segments of the racetrack. Top 3 back within 1 second of each other right now. Joshua Horton and Ben Faulkner won't let John Merritt get too far away. Other battles forming up elsewhere. Douglas Gowan, Sam Chapman and Will Chen. So Sam Chapman's right back on his bike as they head up the hill here, and Will Chen is all over him though. Mighty close as you see some of their best lap times just there. Will Chen might have cracked the throttle. He might also be playing the tactical game, knowing that for everyone, we expect there's a fuel stop still to come.
Yeah, so once one car dives into the pits, you'd expect to see most of the other drivers do the same, particularly if they're in a little battle pack, because you don't want to lose that battle pack. If you lose the potential opportunity of draft, you could find yourself under pressure from those behind. So it'd really be a case of who blinks first, and then see whether everybody else follows suit.
And then some other battle packs through the field. Nathan Verney and Tony Baker still together, I think. And then Ira Felberg's got Benjamin Wheeler, James Chastanoff and Aaron Obersteller behind him. Well, Obersteller, I think, has just gotten past Chasty. Someone changed positions back there in the 15th, 16th position. This would kind of explain how. Look how close these guys are over 13th place. Felberg got close with the slipstream up the hill, not quite as brave through that corner where Obersteller is, and will try to get alongside him. And so Obersteller gets through. Chastanoff looks to shape up on RFLberg as well. A couple of positions change hands back here in the field.
Yeah, boys buried a little bit deep in the field with their elbows out, draft opportunity, and they're not fighting for a top 10, but they are still fighting for the vital championship points. So Chastanoff I think was 4th in the championship going into this after a poor qualifying effort tonight, not actually setting in time. He's put himself behind the 8 ball, so what he's got to do is keep his eyes forward, and hopefully these two guys in front, they've pulled a bit of a gap on him in the last probably a kilometre or so, but keep his eyes forward and his head down, and hopefully he can reel them back in.
Ben Wheeler popped out of the carousel too early. Obersteller carried more speed up the hill and now moves ahead. He's picked off a handful of cars, 3 cars on this lap so far. Obersteller coming back through the field. End of this lap will be the end halfway in the race. Pit lane might get a little bit more action. And again, the bumps and the car just pogoing across them. This car is not particularly compliant over the bumps the way that the suspension is for the Toyota GR86. Very bouncy.
Yeah, you can see the cars moving around on the circuit, and particularly if they clip one of those curves, you can really see how it affects. As prime example there, they get out into the dirt just a little bit, pushing the track limits and then some for Obersteller. Managing to keep it on track and in the right direction. They pulled a good gap for the cars behind him now. That's out to about nearly 2 seconds.
Yeah, James Chastanoff had to wait a couple more corners before he could pass Ben Wheeler. He just managed to do so now. So took the rest of them a little bit to get past a more tentative Ben Wheeler, but now Chasty is through. Onto the Dotting Hill we go with a bunch of the group of cars in front. Here's Sam Chapman, Will Chen, Luke Turner and Douglas Gowans going 3 wide down the straight. That looks like Luke Turner will slipstream off a couple of them, get in front, but they're right back in his toe. And Douglas Gowans gets a triple toe back there in his position. They're all heading towards the end of the lap where the pit entry is. They might either stop now or next lap. I think those are the most likely candidates. You get a little bit of a bump draft going on here. Chapman pushing Turner. Will Chen not able to attack. Leaders through the final corner right now. And none of them are pitting.
Saw Luke Turner qualify on the front row of the grid. He's got really good pace. Like I said, he's qualified up the front. Dropped back after a little bit of an incident there on lap number 2. Found himself back up into P5 with really good pace at this midpoint of the race. So keep an eye out for him. It's going to be a big ask for him to reel in Jamie Stovall, but with the pace he's got at the moment, it's certainly not out of the realms of possibility.
So no one pitting at the end of lap 3. We start lap 4 of 6 with your top 3 still in the same order, but it's everyone else where the position changes are happening. Up here, it's simmering along towards the finish.
P1, P2, P3 as they currently sit on the track at the moment. It's Merritt, Faulkner and Horton. Jamie Stovall is about 5 seconds in the background, so we may catch a glimpse of him in the coming few shots, but at the moment it's all about these guys here, eyes forward as they work their way down through the hard braking section, which will be the right-hander before the downhill section. We've seen a couple of cars come unstuck here already over the course of the race, but these 3 here carrying plenty of speed, plenty of experience, and not putting a foot wrong at this stage.
Yeah, here we go. Merritt backing them up a tiny bit in some of these places here. Of course, Faulkner getting a really massive toe where he sits right now. All of these places where you're full throttle, getting up into 5th and 6th gear. You're still a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, like the road car Toyota GR86. Got a couple of modifications to give it a tiny bit more power. What it does have is some pretty big slicks on it. It's got a pretty decent wing on it. So it is a racy little car, but it reaches its sort of its parachute effect maximum speed cutting through the air quite early, and that gives it such a powerful slipstream effect. Car in front, not a razor blade through the air, punching a decent dirty hole for the car behind that then needs it and makes great benefit of it to reduce its own drag.
Yeah, John Merritt punching a hole through the way at the moment for the cars behind. This could play in Ben and Josh's favour come pit stop time, because at the moment they're using the benefit of the draft to save a little bit of fuel, and we might just see that's where the pass happens for both Faulkner and Horton. But that certainly may put them back out in front and use a bit more fuel on the back part of the race. We'll have to wait to see how it all unfolds. But as they make their way into this tight section, hard on the brakes, again, we've seen a couple of cars kiss the Armco here through the change of direction, but these guys here doing it with plenty of finesse.
Yep, sure are, and Ben Faulkner still holds the fastest lap of the race. Last lap for these leaders is about 1.5 seconds off what we've seen he can be capable of. So the pace mellowed just a little bit with the leading group, and the fastest driver on the last lap was in fact Luke Turner. If his 7:56.9 was a legal lap, it would be the fastest lap of the race, but he might have gone off track somewhere in his pursuit of that. So yeah, Turner is using up all of his pace, while I'm not convinced John Merritt is.
Yeah, Turner's putting in a really good show at the moment. He has reduced that gap into Jamie Stovall a little bit, but he's going to have to dig a little bit deeper if he wants to get any draft benefit from him. So we jump on board and have a look at him at the moment. He has got Sam Chapman in his mirrors. Douglas Gowans is still there, so is Will Chen. So no changes there on circuit for those four drivers. They are all in pursuit of Luke Turner, and he's doing a pretty good job at the moment to try and reel in the position of P4.
Leaders through the Bravery corner, reaching the top of the hill. 3 Toyota GR86s in 3 car lengths, but still John Merritt leads, and Ben Faulkner sits right at his rear bumper, right underneath his rear wing, and Joshua Horton in the 3rd spot there as well. Things get super twisty through the rest of the lap here. See what I mean there? About John Merritt was a little bit lower in the groove and Ben Faulkner was a bit higher in the groove.
Yeah, we saw Ben slingshot out of that carousel last lap. It looks like he's done exactly the same thing again this lap here. Got a really good run up the hill, but Merritt making that little Toyota as wide as he can at the moment. So single file for these guys as they make their way through this sequence of corners. There isn't a lot of passing opportunities in the near future, but it's all about setting up a run as we excuse me, make their way down the back part of the circuit later on this lap.
Don't get too close to that grass for John Merritt. And this is the part of the lap that most feels like a rally stage. It never stops twisting and turning and undulating and chopping about. Whoa, okay, that feels a lot like a rally stage for Ben Faulkner.
You can see a few little cracks there appearing. Faulkner is pushing probably a little bit harder than he needs to at this point. So let's all take a big deep breath, we'll regroup. We'll just have a look at the replay here and see how it all unfolded. Clipped a little bit of curb on the inside, and that just was enough to unsettle the car, send him wide. Kept the boot into it, when in doubt, throttle out, and that's exactly how he did to keep the car straight, losing a little bit of time, but more importantly, still in P2.
Yeah, just little things compound there, don't they? Just a little hit of the curb, a little push wide means a big hit of the curb on the outside, means jumping up off of that. He's going to go wide again. Now, do you recall, he told us one of the previous rounds, he had his headset battery die on him, and he had no sound, and he started driving a bit weird, and we saw him driving a bit weird, and we were like, what's going on for Ben Faulkner? I wonder if that's happened again, because this isn't him.
Yeah, he's been very much a solid rock throughout the course of the season, so he's getting plenty of pressure from behind. We'll see whether his teammate is going to give him a push and a big opportunity to get back onto the back of Merritt. I would imagine that's what's going to happen. Josh Horton and Ben Faulkner will be working together to try and make themselves a menace as much as they can for Johnny Merritt leading the race at the moment.
So here's the teamwork, making a bit of the dream work. John Merritt will be left adrift all at sea, while Ben Faulkner is pushed by Joshua Horton through to the lead of the race on the Dottinghua, coming to the end of lap 4 of 6, the final race of the season to decide the championship in Ozicar Tin Top Cup, supported by Prestige Trophy badge and engraving, Locked On Lads, sim racing leagues, and with the No Social Hate campaign. John Merritt goes from first back to third, and Faulkner is still all over the curb, getting back across the racetrack to the pit entry, slowing them up a little bit on the way into the pit entry, but your top 3 hit the pit lane. We expect to see the rest of the field as well. It's all about the pit crews and the pit work here. And 2 of them overshoot their pit boxes. It's a big overshoot for John Merritt. It's a smaller overshoot for Horton. They're all doing it. Luke Turner misses his box massively. They're all going to come out together from the pit exit. Ben Faulkner to the lead of the race from Joshua Horton from John Merritt, who really missed a trick there through the lane, overshooting his box. So too did Luke Turner. Super short stop from Will Chen.
Yeah, so Will's been for the best part of those 4 laps sitting in somebody's draft, so that's where the opportunity for the short pit stop may have come from. So we'll have to keep an eye on him in the later stages of the race to make sure he's got enough fuel to get home. Hopefully it wasn't a calculated error on his part. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, 9.1 seconds as opposed to 10.9. That's nearly a 2-second saving in the pit stop sequence. So there's a lot of fuel that he's potentially saved. We'll have to wait and see how it works out.
Yep, and then the opposite side of the coin for Luke Turner, who was running 5th, but we saw him miss his pit stall, and he had a long stop. And so he's rejoined back in 8th. Remember, at one time he was 2nd behind John Merritt, now a bit further back. Everyone's gone through the lane this time. So Ben Faulkner and Joshua Horton and John Merritt remain your leaders from Jamie Stovald in 4th, but it's now Will Chen who snuck his way up to 5th. Can Ben Faulkner and Joshua Horton drop John Merritt in this final stanza of the race?
Yeah, so Josh Horton just giving Ben Faulkner a little bit of a push into that sequence of corners, sitting right on the rear bumper bar. You see it again, hopefully not getting the car unsettled, but you can see John Merritt in the background looking for a way around, but unfortunately he's just got a wall of Vermilion cars in front of him who are going to no doubt work together to try and retain that position.
Ben Faulkner misses the corner at Adnauer Forst. He cuts the course. He must have a slowdown, and he does. Pulls to the right-hand side. Joshua Horton goes through to the race lead. John Merritt will follow him through, and again, another potentially uncharacteristic issue from Ben Faulkner. Sam Chapman's also having some level of problems. That's more than a small problem. Cannot park there, and that front left is not turning, it's not steering, and he's got massive damage. All of them having trouble with Adnauer Forst on the outlap. What?
I don't know whether some of these drivers are potentially caught by some cold tyres, although I wouldn't have thought they changed tyres. They probably just took fuel, and the tyres wouldn't have dropped off that significantly in the short 9 or 10 seconds that they did stop. So have a quick look at a replay here to see how it all unfolded, and again, very uncharacteristic.
Technical problems. He's got massive technical problems there. The car didn't turn, and then the steering wheel snapped on in the onboard. It's not a Sam Chapman mistake. It's a problem. So yeah, see, the steering wheel's locked center, and then the steering wheel's locked left. Sam Chapman's had a technical problem there, not a what do the kids say, skill issue. That's super unfortunate for him. Somehow he's going to try to continue, but it's not good. Not good at all.
Yeah, you're going to try and limp it back, and hopefully he stays out of the way from anyone else on the circuit, but potentially a passenger at the moment with 3 wheels left on the wagon. So at the moment, though, Josh Horton giving an opportunity to lead this race at the moment. So he's played second fiddle at the earlier stages for Ben Faulkner, and now it's time to shine at the front, see what he can do.
John Merritt is side by side with Joshua Horton for the race lead. Track goes sharply uphill here. Ben Faulkner will be getting a massive draft from back where he is. He can pick and choose whatever lane he wants. They're both express lanes for him right now. And John Merritt gets in front, cuts across, covers the inside and says, buddy, this corner's going to be mine. Good drag race though.
Yeah, like I said earlier in the race, big climb up the hill to about this point here where it levels out a little bit. So draft really, really important, getting that toe up the what is potentially one of the steepest, longest parts of the circuit. Nathan Verney a little bit deeper around the field, sitting in P9. Good little battle with Tony Baker, only separated by less than half a second, with Aaron Obersteller in the background.
So there's a couple more dramas going on. So we've got Sam Chapman, who's had to tow with the level of damage that he had, but John Snell going slowly. He's behind one of the Aussie cars. Oh, and he gets the curb and he's out wide and he gets the grass and he spins around and hits the wall. Even all on your own, that's a tough corner with a bump at the apex as the track turns uphill. And he's had a check up at the apex and spun it around.
It looked like he was carrying a lot of speed to the car that was in front of him, and the closing distance just snuck up on him a little bit, caught him off guard, and copped a little bit of curb on the outside, and that's all she wrote. So Snell having not the best of nights here at the moment, but more importantly, he will be able to finish this race pending he can complete the next lap and a half. This is Luke Turner on screen with Douglas Gowans. So this little battle's been going on for a couple of laps now, separated by about this gap for the majority of it. So half a second behind, so Douglas Gowans getting that tow from the car in front. So just sitting in a pretty comfortable position at the moment, just going to try and reel that gap in so we can make a move and tighten those screws and put a bit more pressure on Luke Turner.
Luke Turner started this lap in 8th, but we saw Sam Chapman crashing out. That gave a spot to Luke Turner. He passed Douglas Gowans, that gave him another spot. And after the long stop, Luke Turner continues on motoring. Behind them, Nathan Verney has a resurgent Aaron Obersteller right behind him, and Tony Baker's there as well. But Obersteller, he qualified really well, which suggests that he knows the Nordschleife pretty well. But then that lap 1 early issue for Obersteller cost him so much time. He basically watched the whole field go past at the Hudson back, and now he's trying to come back through.
A little bit of carve movement underneath for the locked-on driver there, Nathan Verney, as he negotiates the circuit. Manages to keep things under control, but he is under plenty of pressure from a fast-moving Aaron Obersteller, as you said. So Aaron down 4 positions from where he started. Verney going off track. Obersteller off, correct, yeah. So looking for a way around, carried a much more speed than Verney through the right-hander there, and makes the job done.
Off-roader Stella. No, not sure it's that. Through the little carousel we go, and Nathan Verney's wide of that, which you need to hook up to get the speed. Lead changes hands. Joshua Horton goes past John Merritt. Ben Faulkner will be next. The rest of the field coming through Gulgenkopf that leads them onto the Dottinghor. Horton now has his nose in front. Might not by the end of the straight. It's long enough that you can double leapfrog and you can pass and then get past, or vice versa. You're going to come towards the end of this lap to begin the final lap of the race and of the season. Joshua Horton will lead them at this point. Around the final corner they go to start the final lap. Horton from Merritt, from Faulkner, almost 10 seconds to Jamie Stovall. Will Chen still in 5th, 6th and 7th battle on where Ben Faulkner runs right now. 3rd place, 3rd on the road. No one will outscore him by the necessary 30 or 40 points to take the championship away from him. What he's doing now is enough.
It really is bragging rights for round 6 at the moment for Josh Horton and John Merritt.
He is Ben enough.
There's crickets in the background, Dave. Good attempt nonetheless. Oh, a little bit of a right-hand rear wheel lift there for Josh Horton as he rides the curb. So giving John Merritt a little bit of a sniff of pressure that's being applied to our race leader. three cars, 1, 2, 3, separated by less than 1/10 of a second as they make their way through this top part of the circuit early in the first sector. Eyes forward for Josh Horton, John Merritt, Ben Faulkner, 1, 2, 3 on circuit at the moment.
Looking like it could get a little spicy here with Merritt sandwiched between the teammates. Both of them wanting to see out the season with a win between Josh Horton and John Merritt. Maybe Ben Faulkner has his mind a little more on the championship, but for the other two, it's about winning at the Nordschleife if they can. Varenberg underneath the bridge, down towards the foxhole, up towards Adnau Forst. They go on the final lap of the race.
This part of the circuit's where we saw a bit of a hiccup from Ben Faulkner last time around, where he copped a little bit of curb, went out on the grass, suffered a slowdown. So hopefully the cars in front won't suffer the same fate this time around. Looks a lot neater from the three of them as they make their way through this tight, twisty sequence of left-right switchback corners. Car 43 of Vermilion Motorsport, Josh Merritt, Horton leading the way by John Merritt. And we look at the back of John Merritt at the moment. You can see Ben Faulkner there holding the fastest lap of the race, which I think he took on lap 3. Is that Obersteller back in the pits?
Yes, it is. So I think... I don't know what happened to Obersteller a minute and 45 seconds ago. If we can see if we can find out. Also, more issues for Jordan Dakin. He doesn't look completely happy here. Some odd lines, maybe already some suspension damage. It's like his wheel is mapped wrong and he's doing super sharp inputs, but he'd already... Oh yeah, then ended up in the wall later on.
Yeah, real nights to forget for Jordan. We saw him suffer damage early in the race. Did manage to get the car repaired back out on the circuit, but as you can see there, big hard hit. That's just about terminal for the Dakin Motorsport driver there on what is the final lap of the race.
Well, you're about to see, a bad bump for Aaron Obersteller. Did he get a bump draft there from Nathan Verney that just wasn't quite square as he'd like? From Nathan Verney's perspective, he's not trying to dump him, but it just something. Yeah,
you can see Obersteller having some technical difficulties there, disappearing as well. So maybe that had a effect on how the car behaved as well. So a couple of Vermilion Motorsport vehicles sitting in the pits with tails of woe, but on the other side of the coin, there's two of them in the top 3 at the moment fighting for the lead of this race.
Now Nathan Verney has gone around at the same place that we saw one of the other drivers go around earlier on.
Ron Snell, I think it was, who suffered very, very similar fate here 8 kilometres ago.
Same curb on the outside, exacerbating a car that was already sliding and sending it to the inside wall. So there's damage on the final lap there. It means that the closest battle left on circuit is these three, the race leaders, first, second and third, 0.3 of a second apart from each other, entering the carousel. Look for the different grooves through the carousel this time around. Horton and Merritt look like they took the same groove. Ben Faulkner a little bit higher. I think if you drop the needle in the groove just right, there's a secret track.
Yeah, we've seen Faulkner very, very strong out of there through the previous 5 laps, and again, doing whatever he needs to get a good drive back up this hill. And he has latched onto the back of John Merritt, so that gap there is only 0.2 of a second. So just applying a little bit of pressure. We're in the later stages of the race here on the final lap of round number 6. So in a few short minutes, 2 or 3 minutes time, we will have a race leader we can announce, and it could be any one of these 3 drivers on screen. Josh Horton at the moment punching a hole in the air for the 2 cars behind, but it's really going to come down to draft opportunity through this back straight leading into the last sector of the circuit, where we can potentially see the make or break.
Right now, you wouldn't be surprised if they're just setting themselves up for the dotting or at the end of the lap, but you've got to keep the car on the track all the way around to there. Tough to do when you're right up underneath the driver in front. You need lots of little pieces of reference, of braking markers through this section here to know that you're doing it all right. And even some of these corners that you take flat out here, you need to be on the correct line heading downhill here, because if you strike that inside curb, you can bounce off the track. You strike the curb through here at full speed, 185 kilometers an hour in fifth gear there, it can send you sideways, send you out of position. John Merritt's getting his nose around, his big red nose around in the mirrors of Joshua Horton, who currently leads the race. They're about to head to the small carousel, the mini carousel, then over the brow of the hill at Galgenkopf and onto the Dottinger Hohe for the final time this season. That's wide from Horton. Merritt on the normal line can go nowhere though and stays right up behind his bumper, drops back a little bit, heading up here, giving himself a run-up, giving himself a runway to launch at it. Merritt drops back, now picks up the speed onto the straight, but he's got Faulkner all over him, limiting the moves that he can take. Just getting to the rear bumper of the race leader, Merritt pulls out, but he's got no one to help him, no one to go with. Here comes Ben Faulkner, pushing Joshua Horton to keep him in the lead of the race. John Merritt is not just the third wheel, he's not even at the table here, as the teammates from Vermilion push each other down the Dottinger Hohe, up the straight, and at maximum speed, past 200 kilometers an hour. Merritt ducks back in, getting that double slipstream, but is it too late for him to pull out and try to take the race win away? All the while, Ben Faulkner, the championship leader, is looking to secure that championship, the Ozicar Tin Top Cup. He can help his teammate to the win and help himself to the championship if he covers off John Merritt. Into the final real braking zone we go, sliding across the curbs in these Toyota GR86s that don't like the bumps, and Faulkner defends, rearguard action, lets Joshua Horton take the race win, Ben Faulkner take the championship, and John Merritt is on the podium, dearly missing his teammate Luke Turner.
Yeah, feel sorry for John, but the circumstances has it he didn't have that extra help there, and it was pretty much a sitting duck through that last part. Luke Turner there crossing the line in P5 after dropping back a heap of positions earlier on.
The race, last lap, if you don't mind, by 3 seconds over Horton.
Big effort there from Luke. We saw a really good lap time throughout the course of the night. Obviously, good qualifying performance. The rest of the cars on track competing and challenging for position. This is John Snell back in P13 with Ira Felberg as they make their way onto the back straight. Probably a little bit of draft there for Felberg, but it's going to be a big ask for him to gain that second of track time as he tries to reel in John Snell. So Vernie at the forefront of your screen as well in the locked-on livery. So this is positions currently sitting out on track for 12, 13 and 14.
The damage is severe for Nathan Vernie, and John Snell will breeze past him more than 10 kilometers an hour quicker. Ira Felberg might as well. There's a lot of speed missing with a lot of drag and a lot of damage for Nathan Vernie, and he's ruined that as just late on the final lap he loses 2 spots.
Yeah, you can see the damage from the rear. The car just really looks out of sequence, resembles more of a pretzel than it does a Toyota 86 at this stage of the race. So a couple of positions late on the lap, dropping down for Vernie, but one man's woe is another man's gain. So John Snell and Ira Felberg crossing the line there in P12 and 13.
We've got some of our last drivers, of course, a big lap. It takes a while for the race to finish up.
Peter Wilkinson rounding out his season with a P15 result there in the 268, so up a position from when he started. Didn't see a lot of him throughout the course of the race, which is maybe a good thing, which means he didn't have any issues or too many hurdles. Ben Wheeler wheeling this thing home on what looks like three wheels. The right-hand front looking pretty second-hand.
Make the easy joke. Go on, make the easy joke.
I was trying to work out one powered by coffee, but bang, as you can see exactly how that all unfolded.
Three-wheeler?
Yeah, crossing the line there, and he'll be quick to call it a night. So up 3 positions again from where he qualified. I don't think he did set a qualifying time from memory as well, so a night to forget for Ben Wheeler there. Good pace throughout the course of the season, but rounding out the Toyota 86 season in a way he'd rather forget.
So that looks like the end of the race, the end of the season. Joshua Horton wins. His teammate Ben Faulkner, very unselfish, helping him down the Dottinghua there as he helped himself to a championship. Then John Merritt finished third. All of them are about 10 seconds clear of Jamie Stovold, who finished fourth. And then Luke Turner in fifth place made up a spot on the final lap there. Might have made up 2 as he set a 7:55.2. Luke Turner had the fastest lap of the race by 3 seconds over Joshua Horton. Massive what could have been for Luke Turner, who clearly knows this circuit so well, qualified on the front row, but had just a little problem that prevented him from giving his all and showing his best. And then Will Chen, Douglas Gowans, Brodie Shepherd, Tony Baker, and Warren Henry were the top 10. From then James Chastanoff, John Snell, Ira Felberg, Nathan Verney, dropping a couple of spots late there with the damage that he was nursing ahead of Peter Wilkinson and Ben Wheeler, last car on the lead lap. Aaron Obersteller, Sam Chapman, Jordan Dakin, 3 really quick drivers who end up a lap down when the Nurburgring bits. And then I don't think Tom Brown took the race start. We got to focus. All congratulations, though, to the Ozicar Tin Top Cup champion, Ben Faulkner. He managed that superbly, Jason.
Yeah, it was a very, very strong performance, not just in this round, but of course over the course of the 6-round series that was the Toyota 86 Tin Top Cup.
Here's how he celebrated. Get a load of this manoeuvre.
Very, very nice.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder whether he's actually practicing that in the background.
Into 180, get it going straight again. So he is over the moon. We'll speak to him a little bit later, but what we'll go to right now is the podium with John Merritt. And that third place finisher, but first place qualifier is with us. John, it seemed like a race where having a teammate around was really useful.
Yeah, it was David. It was a shame. Luke just got a little too much curb, I think, on the start of lap 2. So, otherwise, you sort of needed a dance partner at the end there for sure.
And he was crazy quick when he was on it.
Yeah, he was super quick. But it's sort of one of those tracks. The draft's just that strong. You know, probably unless you get out to 1.6 or 1.8, you can't break that draft. So we sort of rolled around for the first stint, and then it was just a bit of a tactical race probably for that last lap.
And how did you see those tactics playing out? What could you do knowing what was coming?
Well, not great on my behalf. I probably needed to be into third, and but those guys, I think the teammates, they could have probably sat side by side on the straight. So yeah, there wasn't probably a lot I could do rather than hang back and get a mega draft, but it was good. Josh sort of held it up in the last, coming onto the Dottinghua there. So, got side by side and then realised obviously Ben came in behind there. So, thought about a move down the end, but that was probably a bit ambitious.
Been an interesting season for the Toyota GR86. Still relatively new to iRacing, it feels, but we've gotten a great taste across a handful of circuits of what the iRacing weather can be like. It was beautiful here for the final round, but your reflections over 6 rounds of Ozicar Tin Top Cup.
Yeah, the stuff I've done's been awesome. So credit to Ira and thanks to Simspeed for the broadcast. It's the weather. I know it was very, very wet. I think the round at Bathurst, so that was probably extreme wet. But some of those changeable conditions I think we had at Okayama were awesome fun to drive in. So glad we didn't have rain tonight. This place is scary enough in the dry, but maybe next time round.
Always a pleasure. Thanks so much, John.
Thanks. Cheers.
So third place finisher there, John Merritt from Pulse Tuning Echuca Toyota. perhaps a little lamenting not having Luke Turner as his rear gunner just on that very, very final lap. As we keep going up the podium, Jason, it brings us to the champion, Ben Faulkner.
So Ben, yet another stellar performance. You find yourself back here in the Simspeed commentary box with Dave and myself. That obviously means you've had a stellar performance tonight. Really, really good result as far as tonight's race goes. Had your hands full from the moment the lights went green. What were you thinking on the later parts of the race tonight in regards to strategy?
Yeah, I mean the whole time I was just sitting back, fuel saving, and letting the other boys bring me along, not pushing too much. Kind of just was looking for a decent finish to get the championship done. But yeah, in the coming into the pits, we tested what the toe was with double toe going past John, and it seemed to be really good. So yeah, I waited back behind, and I saw John move out to try and get me to bump him past. But then yeah, I pushed Josh through to the win because didn't really need a win for the championship, so I was giving him a good shot at the win.
Yeah, over the course of the 6 rounds we've seen, I think we've spoken to in at least the last 4 rounds we've attended. So championship-wise, consistency has been the key. Not taking away from the great speed that you've shown, but we did see when all the cars did dive into the pits tonight, there was a couple of cars around you that overshot their pit marker, but you managed to hit your mark right where it needed to be, and come out.
I mean, I shot mine as well, but it wasn't that. It was like tiny. It was marginal.
So throughout the course of the race, we did see a few little hiccups and hurdles that were almost uncharacteristic from yourself. You were normally pretty rock solid. Was there anything happening in the background that was potentially causing a reason for those little mistakes?
I did feel a bit off tonight. I don't know what it was, but I didn't feel what I usually am. I did the Nords 24-hour in the 86 in Euro split. But yeah, I couldn't really remember my brake markers fully, and yeah, just didn't feel as comfortable in the car as I usually am. So, but yeah, that's why I sat back as well, just so I didn't have to push and make any mistakes. And I made that one mistake. I was going to just let them both pass, but I made that mistake anyway, so it did that for me.
Yeah, we saw you clip the inside curb and then go out and do a little bit of rallycross in the sand before making your way back on the track. And I think there was a point there where you might have copped a slowdown as well, where you had to grit your teeth and unnecessarily serve that to off the racing line.
Yeah, well, I did do like 3 rallycross races before this event, so that makes sense. But yeah, it happens. Especially that track, it's so hard to be consistent, and I'm not that great there. Someone told me that John's been there in real life, so that doesn't surprise me that he's rapid here. So, but yeah, it was good fun. I enjoyed it a lot, and looking forward to the next 86 series.
So going into tonight, you obviously knew what you had to do to bring home a championship result, just keep it clean, and a good qualifying performance early on obviously cemented a pretty good start and a good opportunity for that plan to play out.
Yeah, definitely. Yep, I came in with just the aim to finish the race. I actually set top 6, I think, was my aim. And yeah, it worked out well. P2. Like I said, I was happy to give Josh the win, and he hasn't had one yet this season, so he's been doing a great job. He had really good pace, so yeah, awesome job to Joshy.
From our side of things, just congratulations on a good result tonight. At this stage, champion-elect, but I can't see there to being too many hiccups and hurdles. But before we let you go, I do want to quickly ask you about your celebrationary performance tonight. There was quite a bit of wheel work happening in the background because we did manage to capture. Was there some practice happening in the event that we secured the championship tonight, or?
No, I literally jumped in with like 40 minutes left and did some laps, and I only think I got one qualifying lap in. I was struggling a bit. Just couldn't remember, and the temps were a lot different than what I was on before, so everything was sort of different. But yeah.
Well, forever the showman, putting on some great J-turns throughout the course of the celebrations there after the checkered flag. But again, congratulations from our side of things. I'm sure Ira will be in touch and confirm the results in due course. But from Simspeed, thanks for putting on a great performance throughout the course of the season, and hopefully we'll be back for season 3 and you can keep that championship form going.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, boys.
Well, we'll keep moving up the podium. Having just heard from our new champion, Ben Faulkner, we go to his teammate, Josh Horton. Well, you're always amongst the leaders all race long, and at the end, you get a very nice favour from your teammate.
Yeah, it was very kind of Benny there at the end to help me get over the line. We were planning it out a few laps in advance of how we were going to get it over the line and get it home. So we really appreciate, I really appreciate what he's done, and it makes me really happy, yeah.
Early going was 2 Vermilion Motorsports cars, 2 Pulse Tuning Echuca Toyota cars. In the end, you had the outnumber, and that seemed really important.
Yeah, it's a tough track to get right to begin with, and then you add in 2 sets of teammates, and it becomes a completely different ball game. Who can save the most fuel, who can drag the pace along, and maybe if you want to bring people from the previous pack back into the race. So it's all about just either getting in somebody else's head or working with your teammate the best you can, and I think me and Benny managed to get it done as best we could.
Talk us through how the pit stops went for you.
Yeah, it's like I said, we were playing sort of the fuel game, and so it was essentially who can save the most. And I know John at the front with I forget who was coming with us, Luke, sorry. We were trying our best to fuel save, and obviously the leader was out of the throttle as well. So it's just we sort of played our time, played patient, and then when it finally came time to pit, we sort of said it's go time. We might as well jump him on the straight, and then we were able to control the pace on the way into the pit lane. We were a bit silly. I think all 3 of us on the podium missed our pit boxes and had to reverse up, but we all came out together.
It's not the Grand Prix pits, is it? It's a very small one. Officially 154 turns. This really feels like one of the circuits where some drivers it clicks for them, and other drivers they never seem comfortable.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough one to get. Lots to memorize to begin with, and then you got to try and reap out time out of each and every corner, and it's incredible how some people can just crack lap after lap after lap and just do perfect lap times. And we did the Nords 24-hour not too long ago, and I had the pleasure of doing the most driving in that stint.
This broadcast has got your livery.
It does.
Sorry, I just had to get that in.
Yeah, so we, for Vermilion Motorsports, we were in the Nordschleife 24-hour, and yeah, I had the pleasure of driving for the majority of the race, and so it sort of started to click how the track sort of goes together, where you can and can't use curbing, and especially at Nordschleife, where some of the curbs are pretty sure up to 40 centimeters high, so if you hit them, it's essentially race over if you get the wrong one. So it's just learning on the fly how the car sort of goes with fuel load and how you can make the most of it.
Well, congrats on the victory. Congrats on the teamwork, giving Ben the championship, and a great season of Ozicar Tin Top Cup.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was definitely a blast. Lots to go on. A few ups, a few downs, but this is a major one to come away with, especially at the last round.
And only dry tyres for the finale.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with that one, to be honest. I'm not too much of a fan of the range just yet. I'm slowly getting along with Benny and learning how to get the most pace of the car while trying to control sort of where I am on track. So it's really good to see.
It's a new toy and a good thing, but you can have too much of a good thing. Not every race needs to be a wet race, but hey, certainly something people were excited to try out. Ira gave that to everyone, and it had some interesting effects and some interesting racing across the season, no doubt.
Yeah, big shout out to Ira for bringing Aussie car along to us for another season. It was amazing just getting to test every track, and he gave us a shot at all sorts of different weather conditions and track temps, like picking which tyres and trying to get strategy. I had a good run at Okayama on some dry tyres, but unfortunately didn't get to see the end of that one due to some networking issues. But yeah, it was an absolute blast, and I really appreciate Ira for this.
we'll be seeing you around. Joshua Horton, Aussie car Nordschleife race winner.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be back next season. It's super enjoyable to do.
That's been our podium, Jason, but it's the end of the season, so there's at least one more man we got to speak to.
Yeah, it's the puppeteer, the man behind the scenes, and what makes all the magic happen. So, magician, Houdini, we can call him plenty of things, but welcome to the commentary box, Ira Felberg.
Been called a lot of things, but not that before. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. I'll try and be quick. I know I'm running a bit over.
So that wraps up another season, a successful season nonetheless. It's been, from our perspective, it's been some great racing, some really good results mixed throughout the course with some weather thrown in there. But from your perspective, everyone think has gone as planned?
Yeah, I'd say probably one of the best seasons we've had for a while. I probably underestimated the 86s. I probably should have done them sooner. Like, the racing's been really good and yeah, really fun, and not a lot of incidents really. And it's, it's got like a car that rewards hard work sort of thing, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And then the weather, it handles the weather pretty good, and like even at Nurburgring there, the way it handles the bumps and the curbs and that, it's a lot more forgiving than some of the other cars. So it's probably been one of the most fun seasons we've had for a while, I'd say.
Like you said, a very rewarding car, a car that a lot of drivers tend to love, and a track selection that's really, really well been suited to the characteristics that this car delivers, and that was shown with 4, 5, 6 potential championship winners going into the final round. So plenty of competition out there from these drivers, and a very even playing field on a car that's been well received by the iRacing community.
Yeah, like I said, I probably underestimated how good it is, and it's, it takes a few hits as well. So, but it's kind of like those fast guys. I mean, I was like 12, 15 seconds a lap slower, and I never really put one together. But those guys at the front, they were just pretty crazy quick in them, and it makes a difference. They can all follow each other, and yeah, I think everyone tonight had good fun race. So yeah, looking onwards and upwards now.
So we've got a couple of weeks gap, or a bit of a break in between seasons before we come back with season 3 for 2024. Tell us what's involved and what's in the pipelines.
Yeah, so a couple of little announcements, and then I'll pull the pin. But yeah, so in 2 weeks, we're switching over to the F4s, the Formula 4, which is we've done a few seasons in already, and it's kind of like an open wheeler 86. Relatively low power, but wings and slicks, so nice car to drive, doesn't get away from you like the Formula Ford. So yeah, just basically 2 week break, and we're into them. Talking in there, most of the drivers saying that they're probably going to hang around for those. So yeah, and the rain tyres enabled on those as well, so that should be a bit of fun. And then coming up, I'll post up all this, but on August the 4th is the next Tin Top Cup, and that's a bit earlier in the afternoon because there's a Scops round that Jay's got to wrap it up for a bit later. And then I've got a little bit of announcement to make. We don't actually have a date yet because Jay's still trying to find a date, but we've basically nutted out an all-new event, which I'll post up about, but basically I can mention it here now, and that is that we're going to do like a production car-based Bathurst 6 hour. So all 6 hours are going to be broadcast on Simspeed. So I don't know if you guys are up for a 6 hour, but yeah, and it'll be GT4s, TCRs with the Kia Optima thrown in there, because that's an interesting mix. It's about 5-10 seconds a lap faster than the TCR, but the pit stop's 45 seconds longer. And then Class C will be the 86, the MX-5 and the Renault Clio. So yeah, it's going to be, been thinking about this for a long time, and the OSR guys are doing the GT3s, and I think Aussie Car Place is kind of a bit more entry level club type racing, and I think a 6 hour would be a really cool event. So it would be live race control, proper safety cars, all that, and yeah, all 6 hours broadcast live. So we don't have a date yet, but yeah, as soon as Jay figures all that out, it could be anywhere between sort of the end of the year and early next year up to Easter. So yeah, bit of an announcement, bit of a scoop there. So yeah, and I'll bolt. So thanks everybody, thanks you guys. Daniel pushing the buttons tonight, and Dave and Jason for making us look good. I get a lot of good comments about the broadcast, so yeah, really appreciate all the work you do. Cheers.
No, it's great work, Ira. Just quickly before you go, that does spark anyone's interest, where can they reach out to you or the Ozicar Network and the guys there to find more information as time comes closer?
Oh yeah, Ozicar on Facebook is the best way. I've got to update the website. Haven't done it for a little while yet, so that's my job over the winter. But yeah, just go all the Ozicar Discord. That's the best way, and we'll post all the details and dates up for those events when we've got them.
So Ozicar, as you see on your screen, is Ozicar, Ozicar. So
Yes.
Keep your calendar clear, because Ira is renowned for throwing some curveballs in. They're coming up with some really obscure car combinations that really work. He puts his background and research into it to make sure that everything's on a level playing field at the end of the day. But I haven't seen a Tin Top Cup where you've thrown some curveballs and it's gone pear-shaped. So credit to the work you put in the background, mate.
Oh, Jason, one more thing. If I just want to dedicate this broadcast to Tony Baker and his family, they've had a pretty rough year. So yeah, thanks.
Nice gesture there. I'm sure that'll be appreciated by the Baker family. So congratulations on another successful season. We'll wrap it up there. But for the viewers that are watching here on Simspeed TV, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time, like Ira ahead to. The first round for the Formula 4 round, or season 3 2024, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of familiar names, a lot of familiar liveries out there on track, and the action will be aplenty with open wheeler performance to come.
The best review of Ozicar is the words of the drivers, and they all say, "Thanks, Ira, thanks to the competitors." And we always hear great things from them about Ozicar racing. Congratulations again to the champion of the Ozicar Tin Top Cup, Ben Faulkner, to the supporters, Sim Racing Leagues, Locked On Lads and Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving, thank you, and Ozicar in support of the No Social Hate campaign. I've been David Haynes with Jason Fewens, Daniel Yeaman along for the ride tonight as we closed out the championship and crowned a champion. But Ozicar is not done. There'll be plenty more to come. Make sure you're following Simspeed TV. Make sure you reach out to Ozicar so that you're on top of what comes next.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.